Let's talk specifics about making it easy. Let's say you're creating a personal page or a personal book, or you're modifying a trade book, or maybe you're just trying to modify the classroom material so that your learner can grasp it. What are some basic guidelines that can make it easy for your learner? In teaching anything to our learners with developmental delays, we want to make things easy so that success and confidence can come quickly. So let's take a look at how to do that. Guideline number 1, make it big. Make it easy for the brain to see. By big, I mean large font, large type. Your learner prefers this, and it makes it much easier for the brain to recognize it and retain it. If you have any doubts about this, create 2 versions of any reading material that you're working with. Create one version in the font size you normally use, and then create a second version in a font size double what you normally use. See which one gets a thumbs up from your learner. Guideline number 2. When you're creating materials for an emergent reader, in the beginning, stick to the base verb. For example, instead of swimming, you'll use swim, or instead of eating, you'll say eat. For example, I can swim versus I can go swimming. So in the beginning, stick to the base verb. Once your learner becomes more advanced, you can get more adventurous and expand to swimming, swam, etc. Guideline number 3. Use double spaces between each word. Do that, and you've just relieved the brain of one of its major jobs, trying to figure out where one word ends and the next one begins. Eventually, you won't have to do that, but in the beginning, it's a huge help for clarity and ease of reading. In the same vein, use extra leading or space between each line. That also makes things easier. Guideline number 4. As you're creating reading materials, keep your sentence lengths consistent with the literacy level of the reader. For example, for an emergent reader who is comfortable only with 3-word or 4-word sentences, don't suddenly jump the gun and write a 7-word sentence and expect them to read it. Keep it consistent. Guideline number 5. Use a font that uses the classic lowercase a, not the handwriting version of a, which is the circle and a little line. Use the classic version. Why? Because that is the A that they're going to read in reading materials their entire life. So for a kindergartner who's learning to write, we're not going to ask them to try to create that very complex A, lowercase a, the classic version. So we give them the easy version of here's a circle and a little line. But for reading, it's quite a different thing. And are they going to be confused and have a hard time connecting those 2 versions of A? Nope, you'd be surprised. No problem at all. Guideline number 6. I know I've said this countless times, but I'll say it again. Use a sans-serif font, not a serif font. What do I mean by that? A serif font has those little tiny curves on the end of each letter. It makes it more difficult to read. Sans-serif means without the serifs on the ends. That is much easier to read. And most of what you see online is sans-serif. Why? Because it's clearer, it's easier to read, and people want you to buy their stuff. So we use sans-serif when we're writing. There are many fonts. Verdana, Tahoma. Don't look for a font that's named sans-serif. There are probably 100 of them, and they don't go by that name. So just look for a font that doesn't have the little serifs on the end. So that's your easy lesson for today. Try it, you'll like it, and so will your learner. You can send thank you notes to me at specialreads.com. Yeah, you're right, just kidding. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.